Are you thinking about leaving the United States?
You know, in our YouTube feed, we're constantly getting bombarded lately with videos of people talking about leaving the United States or telling people how to live abroad.
So we compiled 10 things that we did
Or wish we would have done.
and we would like to recommend to you before you take that leap.
And it's a big leap. It's a plunge.
So let's begin. Number one, get rid of debt.
Yes. And I guess that goes regardless if you're leaving the States or not. Get rid of debt. It's hard to live abroad and have a budget if you're still paying for stuff back in the United States.
It's very hard, and because now you're supporting, it's basically like supporting two houses. One thing that we did is we sat down, pen and paper, and we started tracking everything that we were spending because, as you know, in the States, you tend to spend a lot more.
We were going, how much are we spending going out to eat every month? It was crazy.
Yes.
So that's when we decided to crack down and to stop doing that and pay off debt. And we did it fairly quickly.
You will be surprised how much you are spending without noticing. Because as you know, when you're using credit card instead of cash, you get loose with it,
Yeah.
and you start spending and you don't realize. And then you're also spending on groceries that end up in the trash because you're going out to eat.
Right. And subscription services. Yeah, be careful. Those things can really drain your account. Before you know it, you got 10, 15, 20 subscriptions,
Yes.
and that adds up.
So what we did is, again, pen and paper, track down how much are you spending going out to eat. It was a big eye opener for us. How much are you spending on groceries? And then the extras, like subscriptions, like he said, any type of credit card debt, line them up and say, okay, I have my smaller balance, let's pay that off, then the next one, then the next one.
And we still do that. We still monitor our expenses. There's apps you can download to track everything. So it's real simple to do to give you an idea where your money's going.
Yes. Okay, let's go to number 2. Do your research.
Yes,
Okay.
it will save you money and time in the long run.
And headaches.
Oh, and headaches. And with today's technology, there's tons of ways you can research a place you want to live. YouTube.
Facebook groups,
YouTube.
Google, okay, best friend Google, and the consulate or the embassy page of where you're thinking about going.
Might give you some ideas. Yeah. And not only that, like for example, they have these walking tours of cities. It's great to put that on for 45 minutes on a Sunday morning and drink coffee just to see what the city looks like. There's tons of them out there. People just walking around with video cameras, videotaping the streets. The things you need to look for when you're doing your research is, one, cost of living.
Elemental.
You kind of want to rule out those places you can't afford.
Exactly. I mean, there's a huge difference between Switzerland cost of living and, I don't know, Mexico City.
Yeah, or the southern part of Italy versus the northern part of Italy.
Exactly.
It just depends on what you are working with and what your budget is.
Another very important part of your research should be the visa requirement. Just because you have a U.S. passport does not mean you can just show up like under the Tuscan sun, jump off a bus, and it's like, I'm here, let me stay.
Let me buy this house in one day. Let me move in here the next day. Yeah,
it does not work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
So you have to do your research on visa requirements. How long can you stay in a place? What do you need? What are the
financial requirements? Because a lot of the visas are tied to how much you have coming in. Also, what visa are you using? Are you a retiree? Are you a nomad? And these visas change with different countries and at different times. So you need to do your research and make sure you have a right to be there and that you can make it.
Because also remember that if you have, for example, a retirement visa in Italy, you cannot work. So you have to be mindful of those things.
Yeah, passive income visa, where it's basically income that's either off rental properties or off of retirement savings accounts or pensions. Yeah, you cannot work. And if you're planning on working when you move to a foreign country, it's not that easy,
No.
especially if you don't speak the language.
So that's another thing. You have to make sure that you research language. What are the parameters that you're working with there?
Right. If you're not keen on learning a new language, you might want to move your search down to countries where they speak a large amount of English versus places where English is hardly spoken at all.
One thing is, going back to the visa requirements, when we moved to Mexico for a little bit, we did the temporary residency. And again, we had to, go to the consulate, present paperwork, do all the stuff.
It was a two-step process.
Yes.
One step we did outside the country at a consulate, and the second one we did once we got into Mexico. And there was time frames you had to be aware of that you had to get that process done.
So it's very important.
Yeah, those are the things you want to make sure you understand before doing it.
So, and continuing with the research, I know this part is long, but what is the housing situation? Is it hard for you to rent a place?
Right.
Some people go with the idea of buying a place. You have to be very mindful of what you're getting into. So, just be aware of the whole influencer thing. Because just because they show you, this beautiful house is, in some places, it's €1, and there's not like that.
Yeah,
okay?
Especially places like, say, Amsterdam. He's like, I want to go live in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find a place in
Very
Amsterdam.
hard.
Very expensive, very difficult. There's a line of people around the corner, and sometimes the person may not want to rent to somebody who's not a resident of this country. It's just another headache for that person they don't want to deal with.
So research the housing situation.
Yeah.
Research bureaucracy, because every country is different, okay? If you go to Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, bureaucracy is like an obstacle course.
Right, and there's always a level of bureaucracy everywhere you go, but some places do it a little bit better than others, so
Research that.
something to keep in mind.
Number 3, let go of material things. When we were ready to leave the U.S., we started downsizing first, and then selling all of our stuff. I used to have 150 pairs of shoes. Yeah, I know it's bad. But
Well, we sold everything. If
Yeah.
we weren't using it and didn't need it, we sold it. Yeah, it's same with the last stuff we sold was our furniture and everything like that. So, I mean, get rid of everything. If you think you want to bring a lot of that stuff with you, sure, you can do that, but there's a cost associated with that. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people just buy new stuff whenever they get to where they're going. Try to buy, if you think about it, you might want to rent a place that's fully furnished. You can
Yes.
find that overseas.
one of the things you have to realize is, and it's very hard, right? When you buy stuff, you put a price on things, right? Because it's how much you spend on it. So when you start selling your stuff, you're not going to get the full amount, 100% of what you pay. So you have to
Just accept that.
Yeah, and disassociate and say, you know what, I'm doing this because I am getting rid of my stuff. And if you get $1 for something, or you want to donate, that's great, okay? Don't think that, oh my God, I have my expensive purse and now I'm going to sell it for whatever you pay. No, that's not going to happen. So be realistic. If your goal is to leave the country, you are better off living without things. We left the U.S. with 4 suitcases.
4 regular size suitcases
Yeah.
and 2 little backpacks, and that's it.
That's
I'm
it.
going to be honest with you, too. It was so liberating
God, yes.
not to have all that stuff.
Yes.
Now, of course, we've accumulated some stuff over the time, setting up a new home in Europe. Of course, that's going to happen.
And we're going to talk about in future videos about
That
you know,
process.
that process.
Yeah.
But it was nice to be able to say, you know what, like a nomad, getting up with our bags and just going and saying, okay, let's search for what we want.
Yeah, it was
Okay?
very.
So it's very
yeah,
liberating.
yeah,
So
very.
that's what our recommendation. Don't try to move with all your stuff from the U.S., especially to Europe. If you're moving to Mexico, let's say, it might be easier because, you are next door. But when you're going overseas, now you're talking about shipping via cargo. If you're talking about, moving a whole house. Some people want to even move the car.
Right.
And that's a huge headache.
Yeah, most
okay?
people don't do that here. Most people buy a car here because you have to think not only can you drive your car here,
Yeah.
meaning is it allowed on the roads because of the EU regulations, and also
Taxation.
having a driver's license.
Yeah.
Just because you have a U.S. driver's license, depending on where you live, you aren't able to drive after a certain time period.
Yes. So we do have a video that I talk about the driver license process.
In Italy?
In Italy. So you might want to check it out if you're thinking about Italy, because it's not that easy and it frustrates many, many people that we met.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Set a target date,
Yeah.
but be flexible.
Very flexible, right? Yeah, in our case, we actually ended up leaving earlier. So it can go either way. But in order for you to really put your plan in motion, putting a target date out there really gives you a goal in time to get things done. And again, you can adjust it along the way, but it gives you an opportunity to think, okay, this is what I'm doing this for this date.
Yes, exactly. We had a date to leave October of 2021, okay? But,
Things happen.
yes,
Life happens.
2020 happened to, to all of us.
That kind of sped things up, actually, for us. We realized life is short.
Yes.
And I lost a family member, and it was like, why am I killing myself at work when I can actually be retired already? So we
Did
said,
the
let's
math?
do it. We did the math. We talked to our landlord where we were renting at, and we figured everything out. So let's do it. And we ended up going a couple months early.
Yes, we ended up leaving August 1st.
Yeah.
He retired Friday, and on Sunday morning, we were flying out to Mexico.
Yeah.
So that's how it went for
Yeah,
us.
pretty
so,
quick.
but again, be flexible. Don't also put something, a
Yeah.
date that is like, now you're stressing
Yeah.
about it. That's not the idea.
Yeah.
The idea is to have, a goal.
Yeah, and going through the processes to leave the country, actually, you can unlock some things that you've been thinking about, and it's very liberating. I'm not going to lie, it's very liberating to get rid of all your stuff. It's very liberating to realize you're not going to be here anymore, and that you're going to be hopefully someplace else.
Yes.
Our next thing you should probably be aware of, and I guess many people don't really think about this. They always want to think about the positive, right? But you have to also remember that you need to be, in your mind, ready to be let down. Things aren't always going to go your way.
Yes.
You're going to deal with bureaucracies. You're going to deal with people. You're going to have your good days and your bad days, just like you would have with anybody else, anywhere else, I should say.
Yes.
So,
yes,
yeah.
exactly.
But just be ready.
Yes.
Not every day is a good day, but it gets worth it to work.
Well, if it doesn't go like the picture you have in your head, okay, or like the movie or whatever that you have in your head,
Right.
because there is a reality. Visiting a place and living in a place is a complete different thing,
Right.
okay? There are people who visit New York City every day, okay, and they get to see a nice side of things. They might not deal with anyone rude or things like that. Well, guess what? That doesn't happen in the real world, when you're actually living day to day in a community.
Yeah.
I would say if you go to a place to visit and you think, you know what, I really like this place, I want to live here, grab a postcard, go to the post office.
See how they treat you at the post
And see
office.
how they treat you, because post offices don't deal with tourists. So, you know what I mean? They deal with regular people.
Yeah.
So go in, try it. Try
Yeah.
to send them, see what you get.
And we know a lot of people who say, oh, I can deal with the bureaucracy. I've got nothing but time. I'm retired. Yeah, well, if you want to spend your retirement sitting in line trying to get things done, whereas some places it takes one day to do, and other places it takes a month to do,
Yeah.
those are things you want to think about.
The next thing we did is get ready with the logistics part, like bank account, emails, and stuff like that. And
The day-to-day stuff, right? For example, bank accounts. You want to make sure you can access your money without having to pay extra fees. So you have a Schwab account you can move some of your money to, where they have an ATM card, you're not paying international fees.
that bank has been really good to us,
Yeah.
or for us, living abroad, Charles Schwab. So you might want to research
Right,
that.
and you can just move money into an account and use a debit card to get money out, and there's no fees at the ATM. They have a good conversion rate. The same with credit cards. You want to have credit cards that you use over here if you need to, right? That don't charge a foreign transaction fee.
Yeah, because that add up really quick. Yes.
Second is, a lot of people don't think about, well, you can still bank in the United States, right? Well, but you also have two-factor verification where they send you a text message, right? Well, if you change phone numbers to an international phone, which, by the way, cell phone plans in Europe are cheap. Oh, actually, cell phone plans all over the world are cheap, right?
Comparing to the States,
Right.
yes. Very much.
I use a Google Voice account where I transferred my old cell phone number to a Google Voice account.
So we kept the same phone number.
At no fee. It's an app on your phone or on your
But
computer.
it has to be done while you're still in the States.
In the States, you have to do it before that.
You
I
cannot
paid,
do it
I
outside.
paid $20 to transfer my cell phone number to a Google Voice account number, and I downloaded the app on my phone. So now my two-factor verification gets texted to my phone through the app. It's things like that you just don't think about.
Yes, and this is very important because it is a headache.
Yes, and where you want to receive your mail. Do you have a family member that's going to receive the mail for you that you use as their address for your driver's license that you're going to keep in the States? If not, are you going to use a service? There's services out there that you can set up to have your mail go to where they scan it and email you what kind of mail you've got, and you can tell them keep it, destroy it, send it to you, whatever. What you need to think about too is, am I going to keep an address in a state that has a state income tax, or am I going to keep my United States address in a state that doesn't have a state income tax?
And chiming in on that, piggybacking on that, don't forget that you still have to file taxes,
Yeah.
U.S. citizens. So,
Yeah.
it's important for you to have an address because, yes,
You still have to do your taxes
Yes.
every year back in the United States, regardless of
Doesn't-
where
doesn't
you
matter.
live in the world.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too you need to think about. We probably should have covered that. Is whenever you move someplace, look at the tax rate.
Yes.
Yeah, because you still have to pay taxes when you become a resident of another country. As a tax resident, you have to pay taxes. So a lot of places have tax treaties, and you can do research on that, how it affects you. But something to think about.
Depends also, but what type, if you are a retired person, what type of retirement do you
Yeah,
have?
does
Are
your-
you a government retiree?
Or are you a
private sector?
private sector? And all that stuff comes into play, and the tax treaties address that.
Yes.
Another thing you need to think about is health care. Now, I will tell you this. When you get a visa for a country, they have requirements for health care that you have to purchase and you have to show proof of. Those are things you have to think about doing. The next thing we would like to talk about
This is a recommendation because we failed on that one.
Yeah.
We didn't do it. So rent everything if you can.
all bills included.
All bills included.
Yeah,
Especially if you're thinking about moving to Italy, that would be super helpful for you.
right. It takes a lot to open up accounts.
And it takes a long time to close them.
Yeah, and if you don't speak the language, you forget about it. You're going to have somebody there that speaks.
You're going to have to pay somebody
to
to
stand
take care of that.
Yeah,
for
to
you.
take care or come with you that speaks Italian.
Okay. Now, just to give you an example, and this makes bureaucracy with how things are done. We tried to close an account, internet account. I just received confirmation yesterday that it's been closed. It took 30 days to close the internet account in Italy. So, and we still haven't closed the bank account over there, and that's going to be another headache because everything works with certified email. Certified email. Not mail, okay? Certified email.
Which there's a
So-
process, you
yeah.
pay a fee, and it's like sending a certified letter, but it's a certified email.
So if you are able to get a place with all your bills included,
And a lot of our friends have done that.
100% recommended. Now, of course, be aware of scams. So don't, you're not supposed to pay $1,000 or 1,000 euros in electricity. Just make sure that,
Yeah,
you have a good-
because we've had friends who had all bills included, and they get their electric bill, and when they told us the amount, they thought that was normal. We were like, no, man, you're paying for the electricity for your neighbors too, probably. So just be mindful of that. Not everyone's trying to get you, but just be aware.
This one is a no-brainer,
Right? You would think.
Yeah. Visit the place before you make the jump, okay? For example, when we were living in Mexico, we both visited Mexico before, but we did not visit Mérida.
The place that we ended up going to live
Yes.
for 7 months.
And we
We did a lot of research.
Yes, and everybody talked about
The heat and how uncomfortable it was. And we're like, I'm from Texas.
Oh, come on. He's from Texas. We both lived in Texas for a while. I lived in Florida for a long time.
How humid and hot
Oh,
could it
come on,
be?
yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was terrible. Don't get me wrong.
It's unbearable.
Merida is a beautiful city.
Yes.
But for me personally, the heat, the humidity was just unbearable.
No, it is unbearable. It's a very safe city, okay?
No, yeah.
Extremely safe.
Yeah.
Colonial City, I mean, it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, we were taking walks, no problem.
Yeah.
But again, the heat, it's unbearable. Now, our biggest recommendation would be visit the place. And if people are telling you the bad time of year to visit,
That's the time you want to go.
that's the time you want to.
Yeah,
You
when
want to
the-
see why it's bad.
Right.
You want to see if you can deal with the bad. Because remember, if you're going to be living there, and that's one of the things that we've seen a lot with U.S. citizens that move to certain places that we encounter.
Yeah.
If you're going to be living there 365 days a year, you're going to have to put up with a bad time of year.
Right. Now some of the expats who have money and can afford it, right? The 2 months out of the year that the place is terrible,
They leave.
They leave. They go back to the States and they visit.
But if that's not your situation,
Right. Something to be aware of. I mean, if you can afford to leave, great, go. But if not, you might be stuck there.
yes. So that's a big recommendation from us. The next thing is family and friends. If you are a person who is extremely attached to your family,
And you have to physically see them
yes,
all the time, you might want to reconsider moving abroad.
yes. If you are the type of person that, I mean, you are retired, you are a grandparent, things like that, and you have to be with your grandkid, then it's going to be very hard for you.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
So, scratch the whole plan and look for something else over there.
But if you don't mind doing video calls,
We're lucky that we're living in a time where you can, see, do FaceTime, emails.
I talk to my kids more now than I did when I lived in
Yeah.
the United States.
He has 2 sons. I have 1 son. They're all adults, okay?
They're living their lives.
They're living their lives and we're living ours. So for us, it was, it
It was okay.
It was
They
okay, yeah.
understood and we understood. They
Yeah.
know they got a great place to come visit and vacation.
Yes.
So,
Now, friends, when it comes to friends, same thing.
yeah.
If you are too attached to friends, then it will be hard.
And
Making new friends.
Sometimes that can be difficult too,
Yes.
especially if you don't speak the language.
Language is a big, big, big barrier if you're not speaking it to make friends.
Yeah, but it can also be a tool to make friends. There's
Yes.
tons of groups that meet, and you just do a Facebook group search wherever you plan on living, and you can find expat groups or English language speaking groups. They want to
Yes.
get together and practice English. Those are great places to meet other expats and locals who want to learn
Locals,
English.
yes.
So it's a good way to build friendships, which some we have to this day.
Yeah, and that sometimes it is a problem because locals want to learn English or practice their English, so you end up speaking more English than the local language, so that could be a problem.
Yeah.
But we met some great people going to groups like that, that
Yeah.
it was about languages.
Yeah.
So it's a
And,
it's a good
and
idea.
along those same lines, we didn't have this on the list, but start learning the language before you go someplace.
Yes.
Learn some basic phrases. Saying hello and please and thank you can go a long way when you're hitting the ground trying to get things organized.
Yes. Before we go into the last thing
Item.
that we have, our item that we have in our list, we want to do, we're thinking about doing a live stream to answer all your questions because
Yeah.
they've been,
We've
a
been
lot
getting
of
a lot,
questions.
and we figured maybe you guys would like that. Now we're not polished on that yet.
Yes,
We still
we've never done it before.
we still got a lot to
So
learn.
we,
But if
we
it's
want your
something,
feedback.
if it's something you would like to do, just leave some comments below. Let us know you would. We'd probably do it on a Sunday.
Yes,
Uh,
Sunday afternoon, and we will announce it beforehand.
Of course.
But we would love to know if it's something that interests you guys. We can do it.
Of course,
And again, it will
Yeah,
be
let
our
us
first
know.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the last item, and it's have a backup plan.
Whatever you do, you want to make sure that you have a way out, meaning you have money saved in case you need to go back to the United States for whatever reason. So have a plan to go back if you have to. If anything, it's peace of mind, knowing that, hey, no matter how bad something gets or if something happens in the States, I have a way to get back to where I need to be.
Yes.
So
Or to go to another country. I mean,
Exactly.
even if it is, you have 2 options. You say, I'm going to go to X, but if everything fails, everything goes bad.
I'm going to try this other place.
I'm
you
gonna,
know.
I'm gonna, yes, I'm gonna.
So
go
you
and-
might want to do some more research on that. What are the requirements? Can you get a visa at the country that you're at, or do you have to come back to the States to get a visa? These are things you need to plan for and have a backup plan for.
Yes. Very, very important. And also because, you know, you have that like a safety net in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, this has been a long video,
Yes.
and I know we've babbled a lot,
Yes.
but I hope it's helped you. And
if you have more questions, let us know. If you can give us a feedback on our questions about the live stream, it would be great. In the meantime, we will see you on the next one, and we're leaving you another video for you to check out.
Bye.